afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the FX Daily Wrap-Up. And things are relatively quiet here. We are seeing the SPUs and NAS close to highs, right at the highs, but we have gone and tagged the 127% extension of the short-term move in the NASDAQ. So you got the SPUs at 31.47 1/4. Could see them dip a little bit. Potentially, it's not going to be much, probably about 1 3/4 points, 2 points. But if you're scalping it, just to be aware of that. We did see the euro come down close to our bias chart support, which is 991 right here, and we kind of recovered. Now, the key thing is we need to close above 1005. This market really needs to close above 1005 in order to keep the bears at bay. If we close below 1005, it puts the bears in control, potentially as it opens a challenge for 896 with initial stopping point at 957. So that's where we stand here on the euro. Cable, a little bit better overall. I'd have to check on a bias chart resistance, but obviously we're pushing a little bit higher, but we haven't reached it. I think our bias chart resistance was 29.23. I think we kept the same from yesterday. Someone was asking earlier today about the Kiwi. Well, we've maintained a little bit of a bid here in the Kiwi, but if you look here, I mean, there's our bias chart resistance, which is, take a look right here. You can see it 64.36. But the real resistance comes in at 64.93. You can see that. That's a huge, huge, huge level. 64.93, essentially 65 cents. So that's where the real resistance. I mean, we do have resistance at 64.36, but if they got above that, once again, it's not like as if we're going to take off and go to Venus or anything like that. But we still got some resistance coming in there. Let's see here. Dollar peso has continued to move a little bit higher. Now, we didn't quite make it up to our resistance. We came up yesterday, tagged at 1956 and went up above that. But we had a 56/62, came up a little bit short on that 62, and that's our bias chart resistance for today. It's actually the pair that actually has been moving, but nobody really cares about it anymore because after, like I said, it's the old boy that cried wolf. So many times this thing was faking people out left and right, backwards and forwards. Now nobody wants to even trade it. I haven't heard a peep about the peso, despite we're finally, we're seeing some movement here in the peso over the last few days. Dollar CAD, potential for this market to go on and pull back a little bit further here. We actually found ourselves with a little bit of a bid today, but we still have the potential to go on and move lower. We have a little bit of almost like a little bit of a double top here. Let's go and move into the daily. A very short-term double top here. You see this little challenge up there at 32.36. We even have a little bit of a gravestone doji. This is a bit bearish. You get this. It isn't really a hammer, but almost like a little mini hammer. The market kind of defends it as we come down here, come back strong, close the day. Then we move up a little bit higher and we finish near the lows. Now, the wick wasn't very long, but you can see we saw that follow through the very next day. So like I said, you see it move like this, almost like a mini hammer, and we test some support here. We finish strong on the day. It looks like we're going to get some follow through, and we don't, the range isn't even very much when we finish at the bottom. So generally, you're going to easily see a market pull back on that. I think our support today was 32.28, if I remember correctly. We're kind of holding steady here. Not any real movement. It's pre-Thanksgiving trading. It's just not very much going on whatsoever. Cash dollar index, 98.41 continues to keep this market at bay, although certainly we still remain on the bid here with the cash dollar index, but it's keeping it on, at bay. Once again, if we get a daily close above 98.65, bears in full control. First stop would be 99.13. We'll take a look here on the cross rates. You can see here, Guppy's been trading basically in this range of this apex. You can see here where market looked like it's going to bust out. We actually had a nice little move last week that looked like, okay, we're on our way, and we kind of slid back. That looked like on Friday we're open to move lower, and we come back on Monday with, I mentioned before, positive comments from Boris Johnson, also talk about Brexit, maybe potentially get a result sooner. Then we kind of slide back, and then we're back on the bid again today with the yen weakening. Speaking of which, we'll go and move into the dollar yen. Well, here we are in the dollar yen, and guess what? We're slightly above the pivot. Look at that 927. That 927 goes back all the way to May of last year. So you're talking essentially 18 months. You can see the significance, and I touched on that yesterday, the significance of this 927. So we're actually above it, which isn't that much of a surprise when you consider where equities are. I mean, we're basically right at all-time highs. But still, like I said, when you think about where equities are, we should be easily like at 1150, easily. So it's telling you something. The only thing that is rather, I mentioned yesterday, rather disappointment was that when we did get down to 3097 or 3091-ish in the S&Ps, the futures, we did not go sub 108, and that was really concerning. Now, I don't think that this has anything to do with the market got rejected, and now we see a good rally, because really it's just being pulled by the neck, by the S&Ps, equities in general. So it's actually being yanked by and dragging, kicking and pulling. We are above 927. I think today, although we are higher in the S&Ps, it is another new high, but probably a lot more to do, I think, with it's this quiet market. You got more shorts that are willing to come in and cover. Doesn't mean everybody's covering, but coming in and cover. Our resistance today was 927 followed by 964. So there's still some pretty good steady resistance even above here. Like I said, if we haven't blown out by now, I don't expect this to go and blow out. Can we move higher? Yes, but a real blowout, I kind of doubt it at this point. I think Blake mentioned this also, was on the Aussie yen. This has really been a real disappointment. It used to be that, if you didn't want to trade the S&Ps because it was so volatile or the moves were so big or whatever the case may be, you could always go and trade the Aussie yen, which worked basically like a proxy for that. So if S&Ps were making new highs, you'd see the Aussie yen take off. It's a great proxy. And boy, this market has just gone dead. Now, we're a little bit on the bid here, but we still remain very, very weak here. We're just not seeing any real movement when you think about, look, S&Ps at all-time highs. Now, look at this. Let me back this out, back it out. What the heck? You see what I'm saying? And this is a proxy for the S&Ps. What are you smoking? And, that's what I'm saying. It's really just a massive disappointment, to say the least. And that's been pretty much the story here. I mean, you haven't really seen any changes. Only thing is we have seen the Euro Kiwi go lower. But like I mentioned, we had a little bit of a bid in the Kiwi. Let's take a look at that. So here was that fake out to the upside. They got a lot of people long. You see that? And then it came back in, and then we kind of dilly-dallied around. Then we kind of hung around the apex. I mean, apex is right here, but I'm saying is this whole level here. And then we started to break down. We made one more temp, and then we just rolled right on over. And we've just been going downhill. 71.31, that's a key level. That's actually our bias chart resistance. It held it yesterday or the day before. It's holding it again. If it goes, it goes. I mean, it's just like, with the trading in such a tight range. Moving back into equities, here's the, like I said, the SPUs at all-time highs. NASDAQ, we're 3148.50 high, and the overnight session was it 50.25? I think it's 50.25. We're not that far away. The NASDAQ kind of tired a little bit, but here's the deal: is it's so there's as we get almost to the Thanksgiving Day holiday, there's just not that much participation. And obviously the path of least resistance to the upside. So unless you come in the morning, you try and grab a few scalps here and there, pretty much then the balance of the day goes towards the overall trend. And then anybody who's short that didn't cover, then they get, pushed out. You know what I mean? So here we are with 31.48.75. 49 is kind of a key level on a very short-term 5-minute basis. We tagged it a little while ago and we came back down, and now it looks like we're trying to broach that level again. NAS futures are 84.37 and 3/4. 84.38 is a 127% extension of this most little tight range of 84.03 to 84.30. But like I said, who's going to fight this? And you're going to holiday, I guess, like I said, they're still going to go and try and push it. So reminds me of that saying they say always makes me laugh: resistance is futile. But that's about it. That's all we have. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you here in the States, and we'll catch you next week. Have a great Thanksgiving Day holiday, and good luck. And thanks for joining us here with the FX Daily Roundup, sponsored by ForexAnalytix.